Hey guys, welcome to the Silver Report. Here we are. It's Tuesday, March 28th, 2017. We have gold currently trading at $1,251. Silver's trading at $18.21. And let's get right into some of the economic factors that will be playing a part into the price of precious metals. Now, we have some major news because the House committee, it just passed the Audit the Fed bill. The Republican-controlled Committee on Oversight and Government Reform approved the bill earlier today. It allows for a congressional audit of the Federal Reserve's monetary policy. Now, this is something the House previously passed similar versions back in 2012, 2014, with dozens of Democrats joining nearly unanimous Republican support that said that those bills, they died in the Senate and likely would have faced a presidential veto under Obama. So what we've seen also, the major difference, Donald Trump said in a tweet on the 22nd of February 2016, it is so important to audit the Federal Reserve. And yet Ted Cruz missed the vote on the bill that would allow this to be done. Now, of course, that was campaign rhetoric, but he's the president now. Proponents of the bill, they argue that the Fed wields too much power over the U.S. economy with minimal oversight. Opponents assert the Fed decisions should be informed purely by economic indicators and completely insulated from political pressure, unquote. Now, let me draw your attention to something real quick, because she was just confronted on the stage whenever she was giving that press conference about why her policy decisions don't match economic data, economic indicators. That why, when the American economy is showing some of the worst economic readings in years, that we were in one of the fiercest recessions, that she'll be raising interest rates and saying her response simply is the economy is doing well. The Federal Reserve is too powerful. It lacks sufficient oversight for its interest rate decisions. Really, a lot of what's happening in the shadows, they neglect the fact that this is not a federal institution. Think for one moment, why would a private bank that has just ascertained control over the United States of America's money supply name its institution the Federal Reserve when it holds nothing in reserve for the United States? It's not federal, it's private. The reason that they would select such a name is to fool future generations, and we're now past 100 years this has been in place, that they are federal, that they are somehow a federal institution, a governed body. Several times Federal Reserve chair people have stepped up on the stage and discussed it really doesn't matter who the president is. It doesn't matter about your Senate interrogations. I'm not going to tell you where the money went. I'm not going to tell you where I took the taxpayer money and gave it to different one of my crony banker friends. This is madness. This is another quote. We should not in any way hinder their independence, said Representative Caroline Maloney. She's a New York Democrat. Be aware. Think about this statement. Their independence. They're not independent. They're controlled by a banking cartel that rules the world through the shadows, electing governments, putting their board members on different governments all around the world, and causing chaos and panic and poverty. Look at the way they reshaped the United States of America. This was an economic powerhouse of the world, and now look at us. They own all of our homes. Most of the major cities, 20 of the top 100 largest cities in the United States, are now mainly renter-based, when before they were homeowner-based. They've converted this population over to receiving food stamp benefits, handouts from the government, handouts from medical, and also needing to rent their lives. And to the point where whenever it comes to retire, our Social Security is no longer enough to be able to sustain us. What they're doing is robbery. And besides that, look at our mounting debt. And for some reason, we shouldn't have the opportunity to just peer through their books. But yet they'll audit everyday citizens. So this is madness. These policymakers and senators that step up and say that they need to be independent. They need to be able to operate independent. It's clear either two things. You understand full well what the Federal Reserve is, and they're paying you. or you work for them, or they got you elected. Or two, you have no idea what you're talking about, and there's no reason you should be serving public office, because this is a criminal organization that has arisen, and just like Thomas Jefferson warned, if the people of the United States would ever allow these banks to control the issue of the people's money, the institutions that will rise up around them will leave them homeless on the continent their forebears conquered. And that's exactly what has happened. They've stolen our homes out from under us, destroyed our currency. The dollar has depreciated by 95%. And they control the reins of power throughout the world. The next step for the bill, it would be a floor vote by the entire House where Republicans hold a solid majority. Typically, they've been for it in the past. We'll see what happens. Then it'll be followed by a Senate vote that would be much more difficult given the Republicans' narrow lead. But there's hopes that we could finally get our hands inside of what's going on in their dark, dingy lair. All right, thank you guys for joining me here on the Silver Report. If you like the content, be sure to subscribe, like the videos, share the videos, get the word out. I thank you so much for stopping by. As always, stay safe.